Hi everybody and welcome to Q7. I'm going to do something that I haven't done before, at least I don't remember having done this before, and that is answer the questions myself. This time we're not going to have a guest. It's the month of July. There's a lot of things going on here at MFO and we're getting ready for even more, and those will be some things that I'll talk to you about as we go through this. So here is my attempt of answering the questions that I ask everyone who has been my guest in the past. Question number one always is, what is your average day? Well, I can honestly say I don't have an average day. I am blessed to be married to Mike Ferry, and that guarantees that I never have an average day. And you know, one of the things that I think so many of you can relate to is that in the business of real estate, there are so many things that can happen each and every day. Not every day is the same thing. When I was, much younger, back in high school days, we had a program that allowed us an opportunity to go and shadow a person so you could see if this career would be something that you'd like to do. And I had the opportunity of shadowing a young lady who was an actuarial for a life insurance company. And she did exactly the same thing every day at the same time. So from 9 till like 10 a.m., she worked on a specific report. From 10 to 10:15, she had to summarize the report. From 10:15 to 10:30, she had a break. From 10:30 to 11:30, she worked on a different report. It was every day the same thing. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I don't know if that would be for me. Every day the same. Well, real estate and Mike are definitely not the same thing every day. And I enjoy that. And I thrive in the fact that this is a great opportunity. I've given up on the idea of saying my day has to be scheduled in blocks of time. That just isn't my day. But I do, and what I can say to you is that I try and write down every evening what 3 things I need to accomplish the next day. And that was from something Mike had taught me a long time ago. He said, always have 3 things that you need to accomplish and you'll get so much more done. I have to admit, most of the time, my list is a little bit closer to 48 things, but 3 have to be done. So question number 2 is, what is my biggest obstacle? Well, again, in many ways, I think you guys will be able to relate to this, is the biggest obstacle is all the things we don't know what's going to happen. A client calls, something goes wrong, something happens, there's something wrong with one of the kids, there's this happening, that happening. That's just called life. And what I have learned to do is embrace the fact that these things happen. And instead of freaking out about them, which was my old MO, and I'm not saying I've mastered this by any way, shape, or form, but it's what I am trying to do each time. When something comes up, go with it. If it is something that needs your attention, look after it, get it done. If it is something that really does not need to take you off your schedule, say no. I have availability at 3 o'clock. I can do it then if you need me to. But understand that you're not meant to just jump at everybody else's command. You do have some control over what is important to you. And those are the times that you have to say, no, I can't do it this time, but I can do this if that works for you. So find your power in the ability to address the circumstances as they come up. Nobody ever said you had to do it all. That's more in our heads. So for me, one of the biggest obstacles is just simply saying no. And I have to admit, and don't tell Mike this, but every once in a while when he'll say, can you do this right now? Because that's always implied with Mike. He never suggests that we do it in 2 hours from now. If Mike has a thought or something that he wants to do it now, right now. And I have learned to start saying things, let me just finish what I'm doing. I need about 15 minutes. Does that work for you? Find out where you have to jump and where you don't have to jump. So instead of it being my biggest obstacle, I would tell you it's becoming my biggest opportunity to really figure out how I want to live my life and what I want to do. The biggest obstacle is understanding that you don't have to give up your power all the time. So, question number 3. How do you manage your life? Chaotically. And what I've realized is I don't have to manage my life. I have to manage today. And that's what I want to be able to do is get through this day, know that I've given it my all, know that I got my 3 things that I needed to do done, that I'm moving forward with the projects that I have accomplished something. And to me, that is the best feeling that I can have. You know, I can come home and Mike will say to me, hey, by the way, just wanted to let you know we're going out and meeting somebody for dinner tonight. And you're like, what? It's okay. It doesn't matter. It's an opportunity. So I don't look at my life as something I have to manage. I am grateful for the opportunity that we have to be able to look at things, do things that weren't planned, say yes to opportunities that come along, do these things and not be in that rigid structure all the time. Now, with that said, I also don't want to suggest to you that you shouldn't have a schedule that you follow, especially in the industry that we're in. Your prospecting, your lead generation, those are important things to get done. Make those one of the 1, 2, 3 that you must do every day, and the rest of your day falls in line. So to manage my life, well, I look at it as an opportunity today. How does this get to be the best day I've ever had? We've had a lot of stuff going on recently for both of us with our health and some issues and things like that that have come up. You don't get to manage those. You don't get to look at your day timer and say, well, on Thursday, I'll schedule a back issue. No, the back issue shows up when it wants to show up. And you have to understand that when something does come along, it doesn't mean that everything has to shut down. You just pivot. You just go a slightly different direction. And you can still move forward. You can still accomplish the goals that you've set. And I'll tell you, I read this great little devotional this morning that said, it talked about 2 football players who played in a game that was really a highly contested game, a lot of emotion, a lot of force, a lot of, they just gave it everything they had. And at the end of the game, the 2 guys who were similar in positions were saying to each other, do you even know what the score was? And they laughed and said, they were so focused on making it the best game. They gave it their all. And the moral of the story was give each day your all and you don't have to worry about the score. It will work out for you. And I like that thought of saying, if today is a great day, the chances of tomorrow being a great day are pretty good. So I'm going to stay focused on that. I'm not going to manage my life. I'm going to live my life, and I want to enjoy my life. I want to be able to go to bed at night and go, wow, what a day. What a gift. What a blessing today was. All of these great things. And yes, sometimes it comes in the form of a lesson. Sometimes it comes with some pain attached to it. Sometimes it doesn't all work out the way you want to. But you know what? I only had to carry today. I don't have to carry tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough issues, and they will all wait for tomorrow. So that's my goal in managing my life. The 4th question that I usually ask someone is, what is one thing that makes a difference in your life? and this shouldn't surprise any of you. My one thing is Mike. I am always learning from Mike, and I am very lucky to have strong faith that is getting stronger each day, but I also get to understand that my actions will hold me accountable to the things that matter to me. So if I have strong faith and I just simply blow up every time something happens, maybe my trust is not quite where it should be. I always kind of imagine myself having this little conversation with God of saying, okay, so I want you to listen to me because I have this all figured out. And if we do this, everything's going to work out. And that generally makes me stop and think to myself, okay, so I'm going to solve the problems and suggest to God how to fix this. Yeah, maybe I should be a little bit more on the open to receiving information instead of dictating the path forward. And that's been something that Mike has helped me with a lot throughout all these years. And I think that all of us could say that we have learned a tremendous amount from Mike. And it's more than just real estate. It's learning how to live our lives, keeping our emotions between the lines, understanding that we should be the calming force in every situation. Well, that's not always me. But I will tell you that there's always another situation on the horizon that will give me an opportunity to do better, to learn, to grow, to mature in this process. And those are things that I would say to you is the biggest difference maker. How connected are you to the positive sources in your life? Okay? Think about that for a minute. How much time do you spend putting positive things into your life? You know, the world around us has become so loud. You scroll on social media and you see all these people doing all these beautiful things. Everybody has a perfect life except for me. And that's the thought. Everybody looks glamorous. Everybody has this. I think somebody should start a second channel other than a Facebook or an Instagram of, maybe they could call it Real-a-gram, where it's a reel of what actually happens. The frustration, the person who cuts you off as you're driving to work. How about the crazy person who goes flying up the shoulder when everybody's at a standstill? Or all the other goofy things that happen. Just don't get caught up in all the drama. Don't get caught up in all the emotion. And remember that if you did this morning, you don't have to this afternoon. I think that's the one thing that I've really learned about the opportunity of making a difference, and what is one thing that makes a difference is short-term memory. Let it go. If it happened, it didn't work out the way you wanted it to, let it go. Why do you want to hang on to that? Why do you want to make this a thing that you're going to drag around with you? It just makes no sense. So many things that challenge us in life are the things that we give credence to. We give the power to these things. So if you're finding yourself overwhelmed or dealing with stuff that you really don't want and your life feels just a mess, understand you're choosing that. It starts with that. Question number 5, my all-time favorite, because this is where I live most of my life. In overwhelm. Anybody relate to that? For me, as I said, I don't have 3 things that I want to accomplish. I have a list of 68 things. That's today. So am I going to accomplish all of those things? Absolutely not. But no one said I had to accomplish all of them. So let's look at this for a minute. Figure out what's important. Okay? Figure out what you could do this week versus today. Figure out what you could delegate. Is there someone that can help you with this? Why do you think you have to do it all? And sometimes We have it in our head that only I can do it the way I want it done. But that's because we don't want to delegate. We don't want to let go. It's a way for us to feel important about what we're doing. Oh, she manages to get everything done. Well, trust me, for that image to exist, there are plenty of things that fall by the wayside and you're not getting done. So don't live in overwhelm. Don't make that your goal. Don't think that you have to do it all. You know, years ago, there was a great book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And then it said, and it's all small stuff. It went on to say in one of the little stories was that when you die, your inbox will still be full. We live in a world of continuous information. There are continuous things to do. We're always busy. That's life today. The best part is, years and years ago, we all got computers. And I found this great ad for a PS2. That was my first computer. It was a Microsoft product, and it was this little computer, and they advertised it that it was going to change your life. You were going to have all this free time because your computer was going to be so efficient and it would cut down your work time. 75% of your day would be freed up. Well, I seem to have misplaced all my free hours. So if you have seen them, would you send them back to me? Because I don't feel that I had 75% of my workload cut in half. What I feel is I now use Instacart so I don't have to spend the time to go to the grocery store. We now use Uber Eats so that you can have food delivered. You have things delivered to you so you can work more. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. When did it all become that we had to do that much more? I read an article yesterday on AI and saying the importance of making sure you use it as a tool versus it controlling your time. Don't let it be another source of burnout for you. Figure out how to do one thing with it, maybe one thing a week that you could learn and then move on. Practice that thing so you become good at it, but it's not going to take over your world. And don't let it be that for yourself. Enjoy the time with your family. Enjoy time with your friends. Enjoy time when you're working. There is joy in all of those steps. It's up to you to find it. So, overwhelm, my constant state. I have to be careful that I don't embrace it and that I take time to allow myself to settle down, to relax, to not do anything. One of our great agents, Dan Mumm, has this thing that he's doing right now of unplugging for a day. He has no technology 1 day a week. No cell phone. Now, he takes personal calls, but not business. He doesn't get on his computer. He looks at no email. He doesn't do any research. He doesn't do anything else. It's a day off technology. I'm going to challenge everybody out there to do the same thing. Do you have 1 day a week that you unplug? Not every day has to be a work day. Even God took a day off after creating the world, our universe. But we're too busy? Don't buy into that. Give yourself 1 day off. Give your family, give your friends you for 1 day. That's a really important thing to do. So my sixth question is always, how do you strengthen your mindset? And that's so interesting because we've had so many people talk about mindset when they've answered these questions. And I have to tell you that there are some things that I truly agree with and some things I would tell you be very careful about. One of the favorite answers that people share is, oh, they always read a good book. So why does that one not quite sit well with me anymore? And I want to share this with you for your consideration. You know, it used to be that people with experience would write a book. They would share something that they had studied, that they had really been a part of, and that they had spent a portion of their life researching and wanting to make a difference. In today's world, you can simply tell ChatGPT to write a 100-page book on dog grooming. I don't know why I just picked dog grooming. It popped into my head. I know nothing about dog grooming, but Chat knows enough, and it could create a 100-page book on dog grooming. Now, if you're out there and just reading the latest books and the latest things that are out there, is there really any value to that book? So I'm going to challenge you to look at the books that you're reading and find out a little bit more of the author. Find out about the principle that they're talking about. There are so many magic answers out there these days that you really have to be careful that you're not putting things into your mind that you would have looked at normally and said, no, that's just not the way. So guard yourself a little bit more. Read a lot of the classic books over and over again. There is a lot of great information there, and there's a lot of great material. And please understand that I'm not saying that books today are all bad. I'm just telling you to do a little more research. Find out if the author is more than 21 years old and fresh out of school, or maybe still in high school, telling you how to live your life. Do a little bit of research on the person before you jump in hook, line, and sinker. Because don't let it be a sinker. Ideas are great. Things keep coming up. Everybody has an opinion. Have you noticed that there's no shortage of that these days? Everyone's an expert. So, how do you strengthen your mindset? Well, I can tell you that for me, I still use the 3x5 cards. I have cards around my desk, whether it be here in the office or at home. I have things that I will take a mindset break. I have a couple of books that I do exactly what Mike said, of every maybe 90 minutes, take a break and read something. Listen to something that is uplifting. Even music. Have you ever noticed that if you hear your favorite song and you sing along, it makes you feel better? It's a shame in a way that the radio doesn't work the way it used to on a car, because you could just have whatever song came along, and when you heard a good one, what'd you do? You turned up the volume and you sang along. Now it's playlists. Now it's all these other things. So hopefully you have a happy playlist that you can listen to and sing along to all of the songs. But to strengthen your mindset, you need to always stay focused on that being something you want to work on. What cues do you have around you that will help you stay focused on building your mindset? Understand that mindset is not the destination. It's the journey. Okay? Not every day is going to be perfect, but you don't have to stay in a negative mindset. If you have found yourself lately sneaking back into the news, get out of it. I just did the same thing. Stop watching the news. Stop listening to all the yelling. And even if you do, you'll notice that it's really opinions that are being reported, not news. They tell you what they think of something. So be careful of that. The biggest thing, instead of strengthening your mindset, I'm going to say guard your mindset. Really consider what you want to let come into your mind. Give thought as to what that looks like. So the final question is always, what is one piece of advice that we would like to share? So here is my thought for you. Every day is a new beginning. Every day is a new opportunity. If you can look at each day and say, how do I give my all to this day? What does this day need to have done in it for me to feel a sense of accomplishment? Can I take the time to slow down and show love and respect to my family? to take an extra moment and hug your child or your grandchild, to spend the time asking a question and being present. Maybe that's my one piece of advice for all of you. Be present. Be in the situation. Don't always think that you have to be doing something else. Be with the person that you're talking to at this time. That is the thing that I think we really have to look at. Years ago, we had the opportunity of having a fellow work with all of the coaches, and he was a communication coach. His name suddenly escapes me, but I know we still have all of his cassette recordings because that's how far back it went. But he was teaching the importance of communication. And the one thing that I remember so well from him was saying that when you're talking with someone, maintain eye contact with them. Don't be looking at other things. Don't be checking your phone. Don't be checking your watch. Don't always be looking around, because that person should be the center of your attention for the time you're talking to them. The best thing that you can do to make someone feel important, and if you go back to Mike's MMFI, make me feel important, is communication. Really connect with the person. We live in a world where everything is changing. So my piece of advice to you is be present. So that's the 7 questions that I usually ask. I've glanced over once in a while because the timer's way over here. And I can see that we still have a few minutes left before I get to say we start on time and we end on time. But today I'm going to ask you to forgive me for ending a few minutes early. I hope you enjoyed this program that we've been doing. And as I have shared before with all of you, when Mike asked me what the point of Q7 was, it was the opportunity to learn and grow. And mostly, honestly, I said to Mike, even if I've just learned something, or if I can grow from a conversation, I consider it a success. That's why we continue to do this. I have had the opportunity of talking to a lot of amazing women. And I will always remind all of you out there, you have a power that is beyond unique. Never underestimate your personal power. Be present, be protective of your mindset, and give all you've got to this day. Don't hold back. Tomorrow you'll have a new set of challenges. Don't save it up. Give it today. Make today count. Thank you for participating in this series that we continue to do. And if you would like to be a guest, please reach out and let me know. And thank you once again. We'll look forward to talking to you in August. Bye, everybody.